Peace. Salute. Salute, good people. Peace and love to everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. Just checking my settings out. Give me one little second. Hold on. 1 second, people. Give me 1 second. All right. Salute. Peace and love. Peace and love to the good family. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm sure that we are all in quite the mood on this Sunday, right? Given the fantastic display of warriorship and valiance and greatness that we got to witness this weekend with the big fight. Yes. So I'm sure that we are all in quite the mood. Let me know if you guys could hear me. Y'all know what to do. Smash the like button on your way in, good family. Put some 9s in the chat if you guys could hear me okay. Hopefully, as I always like to do, make sure that we are audible and intelligible. I'm looking good on my end. Just want to make sure that it's translating to you guys properly, of course, before we begin. Okay. Yes, I see some 9s coming in. Salute to the good family. Oh my goodness. I get excited when I see my peeps in the building. Salute to the good family. So while you guys are making your way in and getting settled, let's do this. Let's start to salute. Let's start these salutations of the good brothers and sisters. First up, oh my goodness, the king and the Coach Hudson, aka my #1 comrade. 10 toes in the building as usual. Salute to the king and the Coach Hudson. He says, oh, let me turn this up, make my screen a little bit brighter. He says, salute to the queen of boxing media, my #1 comrade, SugarFreeMars. It's been an honor being in the ranks of unity with you. Oh my God, to win this battle. Yes, King. Absolutely. My sentiments exactly with you as well. Beautiful brother. Always standing 10 toes with you. You already know what time it is, King. Okay. And like I said, at some point in the near future, I'd love for us to, do a live together where we could pick each other's brains and just chop it up and vibe on, whatever it is that we like to talk about, right? So maybe that's something we could do in the future. Infinite love, infinite blessings to my brother, my comrade, the Coach Hudson. Big, infinite love to my beautiful sister, Cammie, in the building. Oh my goodness, I'm blushing. My beautiful sister, Cameron Fields, is in the building. She says, my beautiful sis, and she's got all her hearts and her 9s. Oh my God, my sister love energy is in the building. The king, Patrice, my good brother. Okay, Patrice is in the building, 10 toes. He says, salute SugarFreeMars in the chat. This is going to be a legendary cook. You already know. Can you tell by the thumbnail, ladies and gentlemen, that I did not come to play today? We go, peel back some layers on some talk, on some good talk that needs to be had. Okay, Patrice, thank you so much for blessing the building today. Always wonderful to see you, King. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate you. Big time, big time. Oh my goodness, my twin, the lovely King, Daryl Anderson, is in the building. He says, salute to the beautiful queen, aka my twin, SugarFreeMars, and salute to the rest of the kings and the queens in the chat. You already know, twin. You know how we stepping. Okay. Happy Sunday to you as always, and thank you so much for joining with that wonderful support that you bring each and every week. Okay, without fail. Oh my goodness, here he is, the king, Stephen X, in the building. He says, queen, peace and love. What a time to be alive. Okay. That it is indeed, King Stephen. Thank you so much for gracing us today with that wonderful energy and that wonderful presence that you bring. Salute to you, King. Oh my goodness, we got the big stepper as usual, Glenn Mickens in the building, heavy with the love and the super chat, with the support for the channel. Thank you so much, Glenn. I appreciate the constant support. Oh my God, the King Demo is in the building. Salute to the King Demo with his salutations. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, King. I see the 9s that everybody put in there. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you guys could hear me. We have Accurate in the building. He says, salute, great sister SugarFreeMars and the great family. Oh yeah, that's the type of love that I like to hear. Salute to the King Accurate on deck. Oh my goodness, my counterpart, the King Freedoms Marches in the building. Salute to my lovely counterpart. I see you, King. Lovely to have you as always. Salute to the intelligent one in the building. He says salute, salute, salute. He had to say it 3 times on his Umar Johnson shit. Okay. Queen SugarFreeMars and the chat. Smash that like button, good people, and share the content. Absolutely, you guys. Definitely make sure that you smash the content, like button, share the content, and all that good stuff, right? I appreciate you, intelligent one. Thank you so much for coming by. Always lovely to see you. And salute to Brown on Boxing in the building with his old school boxing photo. I love it because we love boxing. We love the history of our people in boxing. And that's some of what I'm going to be tapping into today, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know that I like to do, right? So as the good people, are settling in and making their way in, firstly, of course, I have to salute everybody. I hope that everybody had a wonderful weekend. I hope that if you guys had fight parties or just a quick powwow with your friends, or if you were just, at home by yourself, chilling and enjoying the atmosphere of the great boxing weekend that we had. I hope that you did enjoy yourself all the while. I definitely did. Very interesting, what was going down across social media, over the weekend. And, just everything that was in the lead up, to this fight has been so very, very, very interesting, you guys, because I want to say, how long has it been? The past year and a half, we've been hearing the rumblings of this particular fight with Bud Crawford and Canelo. We have all been having all types of perspectives and thoughts about it. Some of us, like myself, did not find it, I could say, necessary. And then as we got closer and closer and closer to it, I kind of started to see the layers of worth within it. It was never a question of who I was going to be supporting. Hello, you already know I'm 10 toes with the brother. All right. But of course, I started to see more and more of the worth of what it meant in the current landscape of boxing. And I want to divulge some of those aspects as well with you guys this evening. Just a lot of perspectives that we've had in the lead up to this fight. And I'm actually quite satiated by what I saw. That's probably an understatement, but I am definitely quite satiated by the outcome, and even more so of the outcome. Just the aftermath of what this means in totality for the boxing world, right? The landscape in general is really what I'm looking at, and what this particular fight is signifying to the larger boxing community. And it's actually communicating something that I felt and have been feeling for quite some time has been missing within boxing. Outside of the few here and there, let's say like Clarissa Shields and Devin Haney, who are, have been representatives of the mindset that I am thinking about, of course, that I will peel back the layers of for you in just a moment. But just to give kind of a roundabout summary of where it is that I want to tap into in just a bit. Outside of, like I said, the few boxers, most notably like Devin Haney, Deontay Wilder, Clarissa Shields, who have exemplified a level of Black warriorship unapologetically. And I felt like the current landscape for quite some time, outside of those few, our presence and the severity of our weight in boxing has been diminished. And it's one that has a historical tie as far as the conversations that's been having, that has been had in boxing. And it's also one that Black elite warriors themselves, even the ones coming up, let's say, who haven't necessarily reached that quote unquote elite status yet, but who exemplify the potential for that greatness. A lot of that type of energy, that Black American presence in boxing, has been quelled, whether by our own hands, whether by the media, of course, who stick to the story of upholding their own biases and racist agendas in boxing, and also fans themselves and fighters themselves who, unbeknownst to them, may be separated or may have a level of cognitive dissonance when it pertains to the tumultuous history that Black people have had in boxing. Right? They think that it isn't part and parcel of our experience in the country. You guys already know that these are the types of things that I try to unveil and uncover in much of my work, right? Much of my commentary focuses on this because just like the great brothers and sisters who do this work regularly, like the LDBC, like the King Champ side, and the conscious brothers and sisters out there, who are awakened to this type of stuff. Outside of that group of people, who are very adamant and vehement about placing this reality at the forefront, really across the larger boxing world, we do not hear, this level of truth being spoken, to the degree that I intend to get into tonight, and that I always try to touch upon and just kind of shed a light on, right? Because I think the problem with universality in this country is that it seems to leave Black people exempt from the conversation of universality. I find that to be very problematic, because everything that we consider to be American culture, okay, is from the worldview and from the contribution of the Africanist presence, which is the Black American presence. Do you understand me? And so that Black excellence, Black contribution, Black art, Black whatever it is, has to be centralized, because it is American history, in other words. Okay? I'm going to try not to, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know how I get. Y'all know how I get. I may just have to come stepping and blazing 10 toes on their asses today. You understand me? But that American history and culture is Black people and Black culture. And that's something that has to be centralized. And that's why, if you guys take a look at your screen, beautiful brothers and sisters, in addition to that beautiful American flag that was sewn together by a Black woman, okay, that was bled for by Black people, all right? In addition to that beautiful old flag, I put the green and the black as a play and a pun on the red, black, and green, which means our significance and our prominence in tandem with that American flag. You understand me? Let's talk about it today, beautiful people. Okay, I had to warm up the goddamn kitchen for us today, because I really, you understand? It's time that we go there, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to the king, my counterpart, the lovely King Freedom's March. He says, my sweet thing and counterpart. Big and infinite love to you, King. Thank you so much for the support of the channel, as always. I definitely appreciate you, King. Thank you so much. All right. So do the brothers and sisters hear me? Oh my goodness. Hold up. Salute to the Queen, Karma, in the building. Hey, beautiful sis. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for coming and joining. I appreciate you, lovely sis. Salute to the Queen, Karma, in the building. All right. So I'm trying to go there with y'all today, if y'all don't mind. All right. So this is kind of where I'm at with it. Now, Bud Crawford has, ladies and gentlemen, solidified himself, okay, as not only the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, but he's put an exclamation point at the end of his very own statement, which is, quote, "This is the Crawford era." That is what he told us 2 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys have not forgotten, let me take a sip of my drink here, because we're about to go in. All right. This is the Crawford era. That's what he told us. This is what he let us know that he was embarking on. This is what he let us know that he is not playing about. And this is absolutely what he exemplified last evening. Okay? The man earned every right to claim that. He fought his way into that victory. And he came out with the head of the alleged king of the sport. Good people. That's what the man did last night. Okay? He put his biggest one on to prove exactly that. The fact that this is the Crawford era. That's what he did. I sat back, beautiful people, and I watched that man box so beautifully. He had the swag of the greats on him. That's what it looked like to me. All right. Like he was standing on the shoulders of all the beautiful brothers that he's learned from over the years, that he has admired over the years. He carried them last night in that ring. And he did what a lot of people thought was absolutely unthinkable and unfathomable. He did it. He carried the swag, not only of all the beautiful greats before him who have paved the way for him to walk on this road and path, ladies and gentlemen, he carried the swag of all of the people who love him, all of his babies, all of his aunties and uncles and aunts and grandparents, all of the people who have loved him, all of the people who have challenged him, all the people who have questioned him, all the people who have watched him overcome trial after trial after trial. He carried all of them on his back last night, beautiful people. You cannot say that you respect this sport, that you respect warriorship in boxing, and not give credence to this brother. There is no way you can call yourself a fan of boxing and try to bypass that. Because what we saw was a beautiful display of boxing by both men. Both of them wanted to get it. Both of them wanted to step up and show who they were. Bud just superseded. He just showed that much level of valor and heart and warriorship. He got that job done. Okay? Regardless of the level that you think Bud Crawford may fall upon in the all-time greats category, which I will get into a little bit later, because I know that's a very controversial subject for a lot of people, especially people who are diehard Bud fans. I have my own views about that, and I stand 10 toes on that. I'll divulge that with you a little bit later, right? But regardless of where you have him on the all-time category list, okay, no matter where you have him, this man is definitely at the center as it pertains to, being called the best of this era. Okay? He's definitely at the center of that conversation, of the best of this era conversation, right? He fought his biggest rival of his career, which was Earl Spence, the Truth, the Shock Jr. Okay? And 2 years later, he ventured into not only the unknown territory of the most decorated boxer up until yesterday, right? Or he's still, up until yesterday, in Canelo Alvarez. Not only did he do that in unknown waters, but he beheaded him in front of a stadium replete with fans cheering opposite him. Completely opposite him. Stadium full to the brim with people not of his culture, booing him, not giving a damn about his warriorship or his excellence or nothing. All they knew was that he was not Canelo. And that was enough for him to get booed nearly out of the goddamn room at times. They were so adamant about, throwing the thumbs down at him and stuff. Only to go in a stadium full with that type of energy. Forget the press conference. A stadium full of that energy opposite him and against him, opposing him, and still beheaded their king. Stadium full of all types of Mexican flags, Mexican pride, Mexican entitlement. On a Mexican holiday, ladies and gentlemen. He walked in there despite all of that and dethroned their king, took his head and walked out like, what's popping? What's popping? What? Listen up, beautiful brothers and sisters. I always input the perspective and the importance of cultural acknowledgement as it pertains to boxing. I always try to do that and centralize that. And I'm sure that we are all aware of the fact that the Mexican base, as cool as it is to watch them show up and show out for their own, that, you could do nothing but respect that level of support and vehemence and ardence about, one's representation, right? As much as we can, respect that, the fact is that base is often acquiesced, cosseted, and favored within the boxing world, right? My conscious brothers and sisters know what I'm talking about. Okay. And I spoke about it in a commentary I believe I dropped last week, mirroring these types of notions. And of course, as my good family knows, that's something that I centralize. The concept of the Black elite masculine presence in boxing. That is something that I am unrelenting about in my work, because it's imperative that we comprehend and understand the history of our struggles culturally, Black struggles culturally. I am talking about as a people. It's imperative that we understand and comprehend that, the existence of that in this sport, just as we need to, be aware of and educated about, every other facet of our history in this country. That is part and parcel of our history. It is not exempt just because we are talking boxing, brothers and sisters, as I always say, okay? It's the same social construct. Just because we are talking sports does not mean that we are not looking at reflections of society and those ideologies that we uphold throughout society. It is not exempt because we are looking at sports and entertainment. Okay? I find it necessary to denote, ladies and gentlemen, that during the final presser, this very thing that I am talking about the placating of that Mexican base, could not have been more front and center, at the final presser of the Canelo Crawford fight. And I'm, of course, referencing, where these very aspects were fully evinced within the blatant biases that were displayed against Black warriorship, Black support, and what it has meant and continues to mean within this sport. Okay? At that presser, we saw the bigot, because that's what he is, Max Kellerman, attempt to assuage and cajole and palliate the Mexican fan base that was in attendance, as is often done, right? He wanted to palliate them, assuage them. And he stated one of the most outlandish, disrespectful things a sports figure could say, where he said the following. I'm not sure if you guys peeped this during that presser, but this is what Max Kellerman said. He said, "Let me tell you why boxing might be entering into a golden age right now." This is a quote, you guys. "Let me tell you why boxing might be entering into a golden age right now. And this super fight, which is the biggest fight in a decade, might set it off. Because you all love boxing, right? I mean, especially Mexican and Mexican American fans. You've been keeping boxing alive." End quote. Did you guys hear that? It is them who have been keeping boxing alive. I was so absolutely appalled when I heard this being stated, brothers and sisters, in that presser, for so many reasons. But, it wasn't because, let's say, simply, just for, for the fact that Mexican fans were being, deemed as to be heavy supporters of the sport. No, because they are, right? Just like any other group is. Yes, they come up and they show out and they go all in. That's not something that, I care to deny. I like when boxing fans show up in support of their people and in support of their fighters, right? That's something that I like to see, because I'm a person who respects and admires culture, right? The upholding of one's culture. But what was atrocious to me was the proclamation that they and they alone are the sustenance and lifeline of the sport that we love. Excuse me? Excuse me? I don't remember a Mexican fan base or a Mexican whoever who made me fall in love with the rope-a-dope of Muhammad Ali. I don't remember any Mexican person that made me stand up off my feet watching Mike Tyson as a child. I don't remember no Mexican person giving me the butterflies in my stomach the first time I saw Tommy the Hitman Hearns fight against Hagler in that first round of that goddamn fight. What? No disrespect for those people, but they ain't keep nothing alive in me. They certainly didn't keep nothing alive in the valiance of those Black warriors who created everything that we know and love about this sport. You understand me? No problem with them supporting their people and showing up by the droves to do it. But they kept what alive? What did they keep alive, ladies and gentlemen? Can somebody explicate that to me? What do they keep alive? But the love and respect that they hold and uphold for their own culture, as they should. Yes, they keep that alive, as they should. But there is no blood life that they provide to the sport that makes even a dent in comparison to what we gave and give to this day. Let's not be reticent about what the reality is. And let's also not be blind or play blind. That man's statement was nothing but a direct shot by Max Kellerman. A direct shot being made at the Black men and women who have paved the way for every fighter we see today to be able to stand in that ring today. Okay? There is this false unification in the boxing world, ladies and gentlemen, and that unification is only one that is set up against the Black fighter and that Black representation and expression. So there's a unification based on a false idea that is only in place against the Black fighter. That's what they use to sell the myth of the Mexican omnipresence in boxing. Like I said, no shade to that community, but they have no omnipresence in boxing. That's a myth. That is a myth. They have no omnipresence in boxing. The Mexican community shows up with their pride and support of their culture, as they should. I cannot say that enough. As they should. But they are not an anomaly in boxing. And they should not be held above any other cultural support within the sport. I was disgusted by the words of that sucker Max Kellerman. How dare you? No integrity whatsoever. How dare you? I have never seen a sport, just like I posted on my Twitter a couple of days ago. I've never seen a sport single out a cultural group as its lifeline. Oh, because of this group and this group only, the sport needs to be highlighted and upheld and exalted because of this particular group. What the fuck other sport do you go to and hear that bullshit? Not that the racism doesn't exist in sports entertainment as a whole, because surely it does. But we do not hear that type of parlance around any other sport. It was disgusting to listen to that nonsense and that rhetoric and folly. Man sitting up on that stage saying something like that. Absolute myth. I sit back and I think about that. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? And why is nobody saying anything about this? It's almost as if they want to single out this particular group as being the only ones, available or worthy of waving their support and their cultural pride around. So long as they don't identify with Black, your Mexicans can do it, your Cubans can do it, your Puerto Ricans can do it. That's a whole nother level about Black, though, right? Because we already know the African history that is running all rampant throughout those people. They are the same as us, but I'm talking strictly based off of this, uneducated logic that suggests that they are non-Black people, right? The quote unquote Latino, which is in itself a myth, but I'm beyond that, right? They have a right to wave their flag. They have a right to rep their culture. So long as they ain't too Black. But Black fans have to be debased. Black fans have to be inculcated with the lie that they don't exist in boxing. There is no Black fanship in boxing, according to this myth and according to the farcical rhetoric that they push and pander to the public. I'm absolutely sick on the rhetoric. Mexican people do not have a monopoly on support in boxing. That shit has to be absolutely demolished. And you know how many Black people are walking around believing this shit? Because it has been inculcated into them so incessantly that some of our people believe this nonsense. They don't think that they have a voice, or their own representation doesn't matter as a Black boxing fan and consumer. That they got to take a back seat to a Mexican flag. Excuse me? I don't take a back seat to nothing. That don't mean I got to hate on the next person's culture. It just means that I'm standing 10 goddamn toes for my own. Period. We got to talk about that more readily. And you guys know what type of time I'm on. It's not the first time I am divulging this particular aspect on this particular subject. They are not a monopoly, and they do not have a monopoly when it comes to the support of one's fighters as a culture. I am sick of that rhetoric because it was created partly to dissuade that Black representation and the showing up of that elite warrior mentality in the sport. Elite Black American warriorship has to be quelled somehow in the eyes of the extended boxing landscape, as propelled by the narrative that is the foundation of the sport with its racist undertones. We have a style and a track record that is difficult to supersede, particularly the Black American style. So what does the media base, centralize, and focus on? What do they focus on? They focus on a community that largely considers themselves non-Black, that they can gasconade about and tote up as a prominent force above that of the Black fan base. That is the purpose of it. And also, they want to uphold the folly that the Mexican fighter is more brave and has more heart and machismo and valiance than anybody else in the sport, which is absolute trash, nonsense, falsities. So not only are their fan base exalted, but the fighters have a level of bravery, temerity, not seen anywhere else in the sport, according to these people who push this nonsense. Fuck out my face with the bullshit. How many Olympians do they have? And like I said, I'm not trying to shit on these people. We got to speak plainly. How many gold medals do they have? How many top Mexican athletes in boxing can you name? Okay then. Okay then. Not to say that they don't have heart and valiance and all that stuff. Yes, they do. The real ones. The ones that aren't cowardly taking PEDs. I'm talking about the real ones. right? But how the fuck do they become, available to monopolize heart and bravery and masculinity and dominance in boxing? Excuse me, do you know who the fuck my ancestors are? Yes, you do. Because that's why you call them the fucking greats as well, because you know what time it is. Child, that stuff be getting me so hot. Anyway, it's part and parcel of the going historical lore, brothers and sisters, that seeks to disavow, diminish the stature of the Black American standard and its fan base, which is us and has always been us. We show up for our own. There's much that we have to work on societally. Yes, but we show up. It was not us that was booing Bud Crawford in those stands. It was his people that knew he could do it, even if we were unsure. Every part of us was rooting for that man. No matter the questions we had, no matter the disparaging, facts on the table that he was jumping up all of these weight classes that he had been out of the ring for over a year, it didn't matter. We stood 10 toes with our brother. And he showed and proved why we should have last night. Fuck out my face. Now, elite Black warriorship, good brothers and sisters, is the standard of boxing. Let me say that again for the bitches in the back. Elite Black warriorship is the standard of boxing. I don't give a fuck what you pussies who may be lurking in the darkness, in the shadows, some goddamn where, right? Give a fuck what anybody has to say about that. It is what it is. We need more people out here standing 10 toes for what it is that we have contributed to the legacy of the sport. We ain't got to disavow nobody else's pressure or nobody else's stature or stance, but we most definitely got to uphold our own. Everything that we know of boxing would fail to exist if it were not for our beautiful giants. Never forget that. Never. These people are making themselves in our image when it comes to boxing, as they should, right? Greatness begets greatness. Iron sharpens iron. You should be looking to my father and how beautiful he is, right? But let's not play about where you get your information from and your identity from. That seems to be a big problem as far as Black people and how people like to take and pillage from us and not give respect where respect is due. I don't fuck with that shit. I don't know if the kitchen is a little bit too hot, but if it's too hot, find your goddamn way out. Because I got all types of pressure. And I'm not even halfway full. Now, like I said, elite Black warriorship is a standard in boxing. Black American warriorship is boxing. You cannot enter this sport without the salutation toward the great Black giants who have added the style that you love so much, who have added the intuit, who have added the concept of the fundamentals, footwork, the use of the jab, the concept and evolution of the sweet science. You can't walk into the sport and not salute those legends, our legends. Let's not play games. Let's not play games. Let's also not play about the fact that this universality that we have in boxing, this whole idea of boxing being worldwide and crossover, right, was established and due to Black American warriors. Our beautiful brothers brought the world towards the sport of boxing. The world in a way that had never been seen before. Our brothers had everyone the world over ensorcelled by our swag. Everybody around the world emulating the great Muhammad Ali, for example. Not that I need to bring one up, right? Everybody in the world ensorcelled by the great Iron Mike Tyson, the brown bomber Joe Louis, the great King Sugar Ray Robinson. Need I fucking continue? Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Now, Kellerman also attempted to defame the black boxing fan, beautiful people, which I also often speak about. When he, like I said, made those statements, he attempted to defame the black boxing fan as well in his statement. The myth that is created around us, like I said earlier, not supporting the sport. Oh, black fans don't show up. Black fans don't support. Now you hear nonsense and folly. Oh, they don't spend money. Oh, the myth of us not investing our time, not giving our dollars, not giving our thoughts, not having conversations about this, not passing it on and sharing it with our kids. All this other nonsense. Absolutely not true. How many times have I unraveled the folly behind that, you guys? Right? And here we are again today, needing to do that. Because for some reason, with statements like the bigot Max Kellerman, the reality goes often swept under the rug because they want to bypass and supersede Black legacy as a whole and the support of their people that these Black fighters have. They want to suppress that as well. It's disgusting work. The fear that the claiming of Black warriorship and the support system that upholds that warriorship is embedded within the tumultuous and racist history of the sport. That's where you get that from. Otherwise, there would be no need to dissuade from Black greatness and Black support. You only get that because it is embedded within its very foundations and makeup. When we hear Kellerman get on that mic and recite those disgusting, disparaging words, and with all of its disparaging insinuations within it, right? Recite the words of the establishment that he upholds, recite the words of the handlers that are patting him on the back for saying such and paying him to say such, one can understand that the history of that racist foundation is very much alive and well today. And that it must be upheld by these people, by those cowards who tremble in the presence of elite Black American dominance in the sport. And Bud Crawford was the embodiment of their fear materialized. Because the last thing they want to see is a shining Black prince, a shining Black king on his throne. They had no choice but to fucking weep at it last evening, as they have always done throughout the history of the sport. Let me check in with my people. I think I want to pause there for a second. Talk to the good people. I think I got another super chat. Yes, I did. It was from my comrade, my brother, the great King, and the Coach Hudson. He says, take your time, Queen SugarFreeMars, putting some color in the chat. Thank you so much, King. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate, your energy that you bring for sure, because I already know what time I'm stepping on, Salute to everybody in the building, anybody that I may have missed. I'm on fire, okay? But I wanted to check in with my people because I don't want to let you guys go on without me at least tapping in here and there to see what y'all are talking about. My brother Steven says, the Mexican-American fan base is problematic and their envy is a turn off in the sport. It's absolutely diabolical, King Steven. And it's something that, people try to they try their best to assuage. They really don't want to really look at it for what it is within boxing, because it is the very thing that is going to, or not even going to, it's the very thing that has a lot of success when it comes to the disparaging of blackness, black support, black fighters, whatever the fuck it is pertaining to black people, black expression. It's going to quell that. It's a suppressionist tactic, in other words. And so the hyperbolic way that they uphold that Mexican fan base, and that they over exemplify, over representation of the Mexican presence, is to quell and simultaneously disparage black presence, black expression, and whatever have you. This is why they paint the fantasy. Oh, they are the heart, they are the warrior, right? Black men wins can do the same. Black Mexican fan fight 12 rounds. Oh, he's a warrior. He's a warrior heart. Win or lose, he's a warrior. Black man getting there to just do the same thing. Win or lose. Ain't no warriorship talk on deck. He's run amok. He's made a mockery of, right? So that these types of things are the psychology behind what we are seeing. Absolute truth, King Stephen. Okay. My twin says, but the beheader said they don't run deep. Well, they need to be careful what they ask for, because it backfired and got their king whooped. Okay? Whooped. Every bit of whooped. All right? Facts. Salute to the King Jose in the building. He says, the Mexicans, they're not happy today. LOL. I told them Terrence was going to win. Child, they hadn't. And why they be so loud on all of these other platforms, you know what I'm saying, when they like to boast and gasconade, in the buildup of a fight, but they know where to be goddamn found. What happened to all the, La Raza? You know what I'm saying? I thought y'all be standing 10 toes. Where's your warriorship when your man loses? You know what I mean? Because we're there for hours, win or goddamn lose. Well, most of the time, right? Not for those, sassy fanboys. You know what I'm saying? But for the real ones, you know what I'm saying? We there for our own. We don't goddamn go and disappear no goddamn where. No, we like, oh, this is what it is. We got to deal with all the memes passing around that get made. You know what I'm saying? We gotta stand and deal with that. But they're nowhere to be found. Can't find them. They're all hiding in their goddamn closets, under their beds, under their goddamn sombreros. Where the fuck you at? You know what I mean? Crazy work. Stephen X says they should have embraced David Benavidez. David is definitely one of my gunners. Love David Benavidez. They scared of David. I think David too black for their asses. I really do. I think David is too black. You know what I'm saying? Something about him is expressing some, you know what I mean? Something they ain't ready to deal with. Yeah, you guys. What do you guys think about that so far? Salute to my beautiful sister Tay Tay in the building. I see you. Salute to the King Snoopy in the building. I see you as well. Thank you to the good family who are coming in and showing love. I appreciate you. Brown on boxing. Salute to, he says, Max, Mario Lopez, and Mike Coppinger as I call him, all talking reckless last night. Child. Oh my God. Oh my God. And that's what they do. That's what they are there to do. They are there to peddle the fuckery. Yeah, facts. Facts, Michael Lords. Kellerman been a sucker. Always been that. And trying to lie and talk about, oh, I love, you remember how he came in, oh, I just love boxing and sugar. He built his name, repping the names of the Black Warriors and yes, and Sugar Ray and all these great people. Please, child. That man is a whole agent. A whole agent. He is there to uphold, the racist establishment, 1000%. The King Patrice says, when's a commentator going to give us love and recognition of holding down a sport like the NBA, which we built and have held down with our culture for decades? Child, I mean, it's rampant across the sports world, King. You're absolutely right to bring up the idea and aspect of NBA. Absolutely. Same goes for football. These are Black warriors, Black elite warriors by the droves, overwhelmingly, sustaining and providing, blood, to these organizations. Absolutely. And they don't get their credence. They get beat upside their head by cops. It's diabolical work. Absolutely diabolical work. Yeah, exactly, twin. He says, once I saw the broadcast team for the night, I had to mute that shit. I knew that they would talk a bunch of foolishness. Absolute foolishness. The great Mike is in the building. Salute to the great Mike. He says, Max has a ridiculous ego. He challenged everything, Ward would say. Max ain't boxed around. Oh my God. You would have thought that he was in there with Ali himself. Okay? You'd have thought that he was there boxing with goddamn Jack Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Crazy work the way that man be talking. The King coach is on fire. He is feeling the energy. I feel it too, King. All right. I just scrolled up a little bit. Let me scroll back down. I know I went all the way up. Born in the USA. Facts. Absolute facts. Now, let's get to this cooking, y'all. Now, what Bud accomplished last night also exposed a lot of the sassy princess behavior within boxing. That's something that I noticed as well, you guys. It's something I noticed as well. It's definitely something that came to mind upon the wonderful victory that we saw last evening. Definitely exposed a lot of sassy ass, precious ass behavior within boxing. This man essentially jumped up 3 weight classes. I know it was technically 2, but I always say 3 because he only fought once at 54. So in my mind, he jumped up 3 weight classes to face not only the top contender at 68, but the 2-time undisputed #1 fighter who is highly regarded as the face of the sport. The face. Okay? That's who Bud went to battle with and essentially made light work of last evening, right? That's who he superseded and dominated. And he did it, ladies and gentlemen, at 39 years old. 39 years old. He will be 39 in a week or two. Resonate on that, brothers and sisters. Okay? And let's think about that for a moment since we're on it. A salute to the beautiful sister Emma in the building. I see you. I see you, beautiful sis. Thank you so much for coming. Let's resonate on that for a second, brothers and sisters. Now, Bud went in there and did that at 39. How many cries of retirement have we heard over, let's say, the past 2 years from some young fighters? How many cries of retirement have we heard from some young fighters? Barely 30 years old. How many complaints and temper fucking tantrums have we seen by people barely in their motherfucking 30s over the past 2-3 years? How does that look, ladies and gentlemen? That Bud can get in there and do that at 39. Meanwhile, we have the preciousness and the entitlement being exemplified by a handful of particular young fighters today. I couldn't help but think about that upon viewing Bud Crawford in the aftermath. Okay? How does that look, brothers and sisters? That some notable young fighters have cried mercy before they even began entering into their primes. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy? What we've been observing over the past few years by some fighters? What kind of light does that reality shed on those of the new generation coming up, that there have been signs of them tapping out, even if for a moment, mentally, emotionally, and otherwise. What? What does that make you think of? And what kind of light does that shed on your mentality when you think about that? The tapping out of these young fighters before they even done any motherfucking thing. Bud went in there and dethroned a man that was on the top, the absolute pinnacle of the boxing mountain. He dethroned him. Whose heads are these young men clamoring for? Whose heads are they clamoring for, these young men? How many complaints have we heard about just the mere idea of them competing with their contemporaries? How many complaints have we heard? Oh, he ain't ever done nothing. Why would I fight him? He ain't do nothing for me. He ain't talk to me nice. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And didn't that sassy motherfucker say something slick about Bud? The gall and the audacity of Tank Davis on a tweet saying, oh, the dick riding is crazy. This is the mentality, you guys. Did y'all see that? The fucking nerve. The pompous energy is crazy in some of these young fighters. Thankfully, it isn't all of them. But where it shows up, it has to be called out. Y'all already know that I'm ironclad when it comes to my support of warriorship and heart. I don't play with it. I am unflinching in my stance of that. Bud Crawford has exemplified that last evening. Bud Crawford is him, in other words. So that when I sit back and I think of the young men who have been pity-pattying, tiptoeing, playing around the smoke of their own potential, I am constantly left befuddled and disheartened by that. Constantly. Because I can't for the life of me understand why they are playing, not only with my time, but most certainly their own. And then have the goal to cite the names of the legends and the giants who paved the way, and they are playing with their names by not showing that level of respect and commitment to the sport and to the exemplification of the warriorship that they say they exalt. Furthermore, I am disheartened, you guys, by the scurrying that is done to uphold that level of cowardice in boxing by fans and placating media alike. It's something that never sits right with me. The coddling that we see going around of that nonsensical mentality, right? That we see in some young premier fighters and athletes. None of that will ever allow for them to ever attain anything close to what Bud did last night, holding on to that pussy ass mentality. They keep that shit up. They will never see that grace and that stature exemplified by Bud, and it has been exemplified by previous warriors, black elite warriors. The way we fucking holding these fucking boys' hands. They will never attain that level of greatness. They will never try to make and take the risk that Bud took last night in trying to attain something like that. Out of the ring for over a year, jumping up multiple weight classes to fight the best in the division and highly considered the best in the sport. What? You keep holding these motherfuckers' hands, they won't even leave their fucking front doors. Which is what we see happening right now. Ducking competition and going to fight exhibition matches with YouTubers. And it's not even just Tank Davis. We see people like Teofimo Lopez allowed to duck for nearly a goddamn decade, the likes of Devin Haney, and so forth and so on the list of, the buffoonery that we can call out from these young fighters. Absolutely unacceptable. Tank Davis isn't the only one that's the poster child for this bullshit. Few other people tagging right behind his ass with the foolishness. People holding these guys' hands at the mere idea of them crossing the street by themselves. Oh, no, you shouldn't fight that person. All types of excuses. No, you shouldn't fight that person. Oh, yeah, you beat them anyway. That's not you fight them. You'll beat them anyway. So you ain't even got to fight them. So just because I hypothesize a win, that means that this fighter does not have to go and show and prove. What the fuck type of era are we in with this up-and-coming generation? Bud Crawford is the last of that Mayweather cloth. You understand what I'm saying? He was fighting in the Mayweather era. He is of that. Just like Thurman, just like your Danny Garcias, and your Earls, and your, you know what I'm saying? He had the opportunity to fight Pacquiao. He was front and center, Bud Crawford. So that he is the last of that particular era. This new era, it's your Shakur's, it's your Tank Davis's, it's your Devin Haney's. A lot of these brothers that we have revered are not solidifying or claiming their spaces. They are too busy tweeting and being fascinated by the concept of this mythical bag over that of the attainment of legacy and Black warriorship. Problematic. We cannot keep holding these guys by their hands, thinking that you're too precious to walk across the street by yourself. Oh, let me just walk with you. Excuse me? No. Go get it. If we keep doing that holding of the hands, they will never reach the pinnacle of any mountaintop in their careers, and they have no hope for supremacy in the sport. That's a disgrace on every level to everybody who considers themselves Black, as far as our Black culture concerns, a support of the sport. Because what we want to see is a continuation of our bloodline. Just as in anything else, Black elite warriorship is something that must be sustained. Sustained. And if we don't want to witness the diminishment and eradication of that, we've got to make sure that these people are exemplifying a level of heart and will and courage to go through the fire. They cannot run from it. You can only be made by passing through it. You got to show and prove. And this is what they are being dissuaded from in this particular era. Some of these young people with their diabolical, sassy ass fan bases. This is what devastates me the most about this new era of boxing fans and the boxing media that placates to that nonsensical ideology, right? Nobody that sat back and watched Bud Crawford looking as beautiful, as collected as he did in that ring, nobody who calls themselves a true supporter of boxing should ever, from this point onward, attempt to cassette the bullshit lore that has been allowed to be used as an excuse for people like Tank Davis, for people like Shakur Stevenson, or any other young fighter that would hinder or limit their running towards competition at the highest level. Nobody should ever be pushing the rhetoric from this point onward after last evening. Whoever considers themselves supporters of those young men. Because you are calling them away from that path of Black American warriorship. That's something that we do not need in boxing. And that's something that will not elevate and sustain the legacy that we hold and have in boxing. A lot of people are sitting around and capping and cheering for what Bud accomplished last evening, brothers and sisters. A lot of people are happy, right? But they are the same ones that I am seeing, many of them that have been holding Tank's purse and taking him to get his goddamn nails done. How the fuck are you a supporter of what Bud did and you the same person that's coddling and cossetting Tank's refraining from smoke, from going towards the smoking competition? How the fuck is that happening? That's an oxymoron, theoretically. What is going on with that? The same people who are making ridiculous excuses for Tank Davis to fight Jake Paul, justifying why Shakur Stevenson should have fought Conor Benn over Devin Haney, right? And the same ones who have been berating the young king Devin Haney to no end at any and every opportunity possible, simply because you do not want to see that particular young king rise beyond your favorites who are out here playing in your faces, telling you to shut the fuck up and be a fan, and who duck legacy for money like some hoes. Y'all are the same ones talking that you are happy about Bud. How dare you? When you cassette and make room and make way for the nonsense that we see exemplified by these other young brothers coming up. Many of these people hate on Devin Haney simply for walking in the path of that very Black American greatness that he assumes and that he is continually striving to reach and surpass. Many of y'all hate on him and the fact that he is now aiming to become a 3-division world champion come November. How dare you? There's no reason why you should be so ecstatic about Bud Crawford and at the same time turn around 5 minutes later and berate the young king Devin Haney or anybody else looking to walk in that path of Black excellence. How dare you? There is an absolute dichotomy being presented in this current landscape. And I can only commend Bud Crawford at the highest level for his temerity, for his grit, for his will, and unrelenting determination that he displayed in achieving his goal last night. Okay? On the side of what the great Black warriors who have ventured into the unknown, he did that on their side. He ventured into the unknown and he pulled out the best of himself and he conquered as he should have. That is what we want to uphold. That is what we want to uphold. Not the backing away from your greatness, your beautiful Blackness, your beautiful gifts, your beautiful prowess, and the bloodline that runs within you as a Black American elite warrior, male or female. We need to exalt and uphold our people when they are walking righteously and uprightly. I was listening, brothers and sisters, to the beautiful king, BF Cook, live a little bit earlier. And I'm of the same, a similar mindset that he had, that he shared about the trajectory for Bud, from this point onward, what that trajectory looks like and what it stands to be after, of course, coming off of the astounding victory that he had last evening. Now, initially, as you guys know, I was not interested in any fight for Bud Crawford outside of the rematch with Earl Spence. And of course, all of the smoke that is replete at 154. That's what I thought his trajectory really was, even amid all of the initial, rumors that were going on that there was a potential for him to fight Canelo. My eyes were set on, I didn't really even give light to that, even though the rumblings had become louder and louder about that possibility materializing. My eyes, as far as I was concerned, was set on 154 and what he would do there. because, of course, as we know, like I said, it's replete with competition, replete with a whole bunch of warriors there, right? And I am still of the opinion that he negated the entire division that had nothing but smoke there for him. I am still of that opinion, right? Um, even though I'm happy for him, and even though whatever he does next, I think he has earned the right to make that decision for himself. Um, but now, like I said, of course, after he's made his official debut at 68, that he is the undisputed champion there. And he has had his victory there beautifully. I would not want to see at this particular time Bud Crawford put himself at any level of detriment simply, in order to squeeze back down to a smaller weight class. So I share that perspective with the beautiful King BF, that, now that he has arrived at 68, it does not make sense for him, to come back down. And of course, even before the fight was officially or had just been, announced at that time, I was always in question about, would he go back to 54, and would it make sense for him to? I was kind of wrestling with that. And of course, now in the aftermath, I see why, I would support him, not going back down, right? And I think that this is precisely one of the aspects, if I could be honest, that propelled Bud's decision to fight Canelo. I think it was so that he did not have to fight anybody at 54, right? Hence the reason why he had the one fight with Madrimov and then hauled his ass out of there, right? So I think that was the one of the objectives of him going to face Canelo, right? Even if he felt like he could beat him or whatever, he just felt like, okay, well, I don't have to deal with the lower weight classes anymore as a whole. I could just completely skip that, right? He knew that he would be pardoned by the public as well for hopping over the heads of all of those dudes. He knew that nobody would demand of him to go all the way back down or anything like that, right? So on that note, I ask, and I think a lot of us are asking, right? What is next for Bud, right? Is a rematch possible with Canelo Alvarez? It's definitely likely, brothers and sisters, right? I mean, even though he won, and even though he had a really great performance, and had a lot of us, on our feet about what we saw, it's definitely likely that there could be a rematch. I mean, especially considering how lucrative the rematch stands to be. Let's not get besides ourselves, brothers and sisters. We know that rematches tend to historically be more successful than the initial fight. So that, a rematch is definitely well within the realm of possibility, right? When we think about it that way. And I even remember hearing, Turkey, earlier on mention a rematch is next, right? I heard him say something like that. So, it's likely that could happen, that's on the table. And it makes sense, right? When we consider that. All the financial gains and stuff like that. If not the rematch, does he remain at 68? What is going on with Bud? What are your thoughts about that, good brothers and sisters? What do you think should be next for Bud? If he doesn't take the rematch, does he stay at 68 and face the likes of, I don't know, Billy? You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck does he go after? Now, I know that there have been a lot of people ruminating on the possibility, let's say, that he would retire after, because that's also something that I had considered. Is he going to retire? Right? But from his energy last night at the post presser, did you guys see it? That doesn't seem like that's happening just yet. He did not say, oh, well, it's been fun. I'm going to go home and deliberate about if I still love the sport, because I done reached the top, y'all. I'm going to go home, kick back with my babies, and eat some home-cooked meals for my wife and think about if boxing is in my future. He didn't say anything to that effect. He was very much excited. He was very much pleased with his victory. He was very much confident. You know what I'm saying? Listen, he was easy work. He said green beans done punch harder than Canelo. So it seems like he didn't even go through a war. He seemed like he was still fresh, and leaning towards the concept of going into war again. He says he's open to whatever. I think somebody had asked him about the rematch. He says he's open to whatever. So we'll see, right? But retirement was definitely not on the menu, not in his energy, definitely not in his parlance. So it's interesting what he will do next. Of course, he definitely deserves his rest, much needed, time off to celebrate with his people, right? But it's going to be interesting, I guess, in the coming year to see what is on the horizon for him and what road he decides to take. Like I said, since retirement is not something that he waved the banner for at all last night. So when we really look closer, beautiful people. Oh, hold on one second. I think I need to. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when we look closer, good people, at his options, I mean, when we realistically look at these things, who stands to be the most lucrative opportunity for Bud Crawford, while simultaneously being his most noteworthy win outside of Canelo Alvarez? That's a real question. Okay? That's an absolutely real question. Because I know there's been a lot of names coming into the fold that I have been coming across social media and stuff like that, about who he could fight. And, a lot of people have been mentioning people like David Benavidez. And I think that's probably the most premier name. And, wondering if he'll go up to 175. If I'm not mistaken, somebody asked him if he would go to light heavy. He said no, he had no intention of going that high. So, what other options does he have that will provide the level of financial and material gain as a Canelo Alvarez fight, and whose name could be more noteworthy? Whose name supersedes Canelo? It just does not exist. Canelo, like I said, is the pinnacle of the boxing mountain. Who the fuck can he fight that's bigger than Canelo, name-wise and financially? You gotta look at it that way, you guys. You know what I'm saying? Do you think him fighting in Billy could match Canelo? I mean, and maybe it could satiate something within us to see if he could beat somebody like in Billy. Maybe it would satiate us to see if, Benavidez and him would make a good, matchup or something like that. But it will simply just be that. It'll simply be just us seeing, oh, well, can you overcome him? It certainly won't bring, anywhere near the star power and mass financial success that a rematch with Canelo would bring. It just wouldn't. It really just wouldn't. No matter how interesting of a fight we think Benavidez would present to him, or and Billy, stands to, if can he outbox Crawford or something like that. It just doesn't really add up when we think about all of the spectrum, the total spectrum. You know what I mean? What's he gonna do? Fight somebody like Pacheco? That is he gonna fight? What's the other guy's name? Shiraz, Hamza Shiraz. It just doesn't, the namesake doesn't carry. There is no weight, there is no hold that is on par or any footing close to that of Canelo Alvarez. Real talk, like I said, it's the top of that mountain. It's the pinnacle of that mountain. You know what I mean? Those names absolutely do not hold the value that Canelo Alvarez does. None of those men come close to the glory that would come from defeating Canelo for a second time. I mean, bad enough he goddamn gave him the business this time, walked out victorious, walked in his hometown on his motherfucking cultural holiday in front of his people, in front of his mama and babies and grandma, and beheaded that man. Then, just to think about the idea of him doing a second time, child, y'all already know that shit would blow the numbers off the roof, y'all. Okay? The reality is that no fight would present as much of a storyline. No fight would provide and generate the gargantuan amounts of financial success. And no other fight would further cement Crawford's stature as the best of this era than a rematch with Canelo Alvarez. That's just how I'm looking at it at this juncture. That it's just, I don't see anything beyond that. Yes, he defeated Canelo, but Canelo is still the name in boxing. That's the man that he beat. He beat the number one. You know what I mean? So a rematch would be interesting. Now, that's not to say I'm not getting into who would win or, oh, he'll beat him easily again. It doesn't make sense and stuff like that. But, a rematch is a rematch is a rematch. Doesn't matter who wins. The opportunity is there, and the fact still stands that Canelo Alvarez is the biggest name. Nobody supersedes, as far as an opponent for Bud, nobody supersedes Canelo's name, even though he just defeated him. Nobody else is above Canelo but Bud Crawford at this moment. It just is what it is. So, I heard him state at the post presser, that, like I said, he didn't have any intentions on moving, further up or anything like that. So yeah, I just think it makes sense. It makes sense. And I'm interested in seeing where he will go from here. Also, really quickly, beautiful people, before I check back in with you guys. Another interesting aspect to me that I wanted to touch on here that I think will be quite controversial, or I think already is, because people are all around are talking about it, is the idea about where Bud falls on the greatest of all time conversation. Now, I know that our esteem is running high, and we are ecstatic for this brother, for this king, and his accomplishments, and how proud and pleased we are with his performance and with his stature and what he amassed for himself. And it's wonderful, no doubt. But real talk, y'all, I personally do not have Bud on my greatest of all time top 5 list. He's not in my top 5 list. And I know a lot of people may be having an issue wrapping their minds around that, because I've heard other people across social media state the same. And you see their comments flooded with people with opposing views and trying to vouch for and justify why he is the, to each his own, right? We all have our, your list is very, very subjective, just like much of everything in boxing is, right? To each their own, absolutely. For me personally, brothers and sisters, he is not in my top 5 of all time. The reality for me is that he beat 2 men. He beat 2 men. That's what the reality is to me. He beat his biggest rival of his career, which is Earl Spence Jr., right? And he beat Canelo last night. That's the 2 heaviest men he took down and beheaded. All right? I think what people don't realize is that if we give Bud the GOAT moniker, right? Oh, he's the greatest of all time. I've been hearing people say even that he is the greatest, period, of all time. I think what people don't realize that if we give him that moniker, then wouldn't we need to extend that same title and moniker to Dimitri Bivol? Is Bivol the greatest of all time? I don't think anybody ever postures themselves to put Bivol's name in the GOAT category, top 5 GOAT category. It doesn't exist. They put him on the pound for pound list. You know what I'm saying? He's been on pound for pound lists. But nobody postured to say that Bivol was the greatest of all time. Bivol beat Canelo's ass. What was that, a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that? Nobody was calling Bivol the goddamn greatest of all time. Top 5 with Sugar Ray and all these other beautiful brothers. No, it didn't exist. So that his win was emphatic. His win was definitely significant. But if we can't put Bivol there, then I just don't understand why I would put there. I know the significance of it. I am not trying to diminish anything. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't be, happier and prouder of Bud Crawford. But I'm not going to bypass the analysis, in sitting back and dealing with that material. The Sugar Rays alone, Robinson and Leonard, absolutely washed his career The value of his career is absolutely washed next to the resumes of those two giants. It's just not, that's just not how I'm dealing with top five. No, not for me. You know, I do not know who on the greatest of all time lists. I don't know who in that greatest of all time conversation have only fought two men and was crowned the greatest of all time. Who the fuck on the greatest of all time list fought only two people and was called the GOAT? You tell me. You tell me. I don't know anybody on the GOAT list that only fought two people and was deemed the goddamn best ever. Do you know who those who those warriors fought? Your Floyds? You know what I mean? Like, what? Your Hearns, your goddamn, you know what I'm saying? Your Ray Leonards, it's just like, do you know who those men fought? It just doesn't work. Your Ali's? I mean, it just goes without saying. The resume of one of those men smashes the entire career of Bud Crawford. And this is no slight to Bud, you know what I'm saying? Because his root was his root. You know what I'm saying? But he's not on my top five list. Okay. That's what I am saying about that. It's just very interesting to me, especially at 39 years old. At 39 years old, ladies and gentlemen, he fought two men. That's the legacy that he holds. In addition to his three-time, undisputed three-division, you know what I'm saying, stature and all of that. But in addition to those beautiful accolades, he fought two people at 39 years old. This is what makes me, that's all I'm saying, is that this is what makes me not put him on my top five of all time. But, he definitely, we could definitely say that he is the best of this era, and he proved that absolutely, 1000%. You know what I mean? So that his credence is absolutely well deserved as the king of the era, right? Because he dethroned and beheaded the king of the era of this current era. Yes, 1000%. But as far as top five greatest of all time, absolutely not, as far as I am concerned. Okay? He's top something, but he definitely ain't goddamn top five on my list. You know what I mean? He pulled off a wonderful feat that cannot be quelled or bypassed or diminished. But he's 39 years old and he fought two people of weight and notability and that level of significance, which is EJ and, of course, Canelo. You know what I'm saying? But his accomplishments are his accomplishments. Those stand on its own. But his resume is also on its own. And in viewing that resume, that's why I don't put him on my top five of all time. The feat is where his value is, in other words, right? But who he fought is also something that I take into consideration when it comes to my personal top five GOAT list. But there is that is to say that there is no doubt that he has usurped the title, absolutely usurped the title of the face of boxing. Terrence Crawford is the face of boxing for this era right now. Absolutely. He is the face of boxing, hands down. He proved that last night. And should anybody have any questions about that, something must be wrong with y'all head. Terrence Crawford is the face of boxing right now. Okay. This was the most emphatic win and triumph since Floyd's reign. I think that we could all look towards that with a level of reality and acceptance. And this was a hell of a way for him to cement that legacy and to cement the greatness that is Black American warriorship in boxing. That's what was exemplified last night. All right? There ought to never be any level of reticence ever towards the full expression of that love that we have as Black people and Black fight fans. Never have a reticence in your expression of that love. And that we should always uphold at all times for our Black culture and our Black elite warriors. Never be reticent about that. I am of the mind that we need to stand on that at all times. I am never of the mind that we need to, simmer it down or quiet it down or tone it down in anything that we do. Nothing. All right. I don't do that for the sake of, oh, well, they're going to look at you like this if you go too hard, or if you say this too loudly, or they're going to look at you like that. I don't give a fuck how it is that anybody from the outside may view my adamance and pride in my culture and in my people and things that we do. I stand 10 toes always within that. It is imperative that we show up in that Black valiance, in that Black expression, and Black excellence. That's what I'm about. And Bud Crawford solidified that legacy of elite Black warriorship and dominance in the sport that we love so dearly and so much, right? That level of courage and heart, and it's always been an unapologetic energy and centeredness within who we are that has gotten us as far as we have come as Black people over the centuries. Never put that down. That is why we are still standing today, because we had people courageous enough to never tremble at the thought of expressing our greatness. Okay? How about we put the regalia of other cultures down when we enter a ring? That's something that if I had my way, I would never see a Black person walking there with anything Mexican or anything Italian or French or Ukrainian or whatever the hell have you. How about we put that down and start entering the ring with our own representations and expressions of cultural pride? Something that salutes what we do, who we be, and how we be. Don't parade the music of any other sect on your walk to the battlefield. Play your own. Stand 10 toes in your own expression, your own cultural Black expression and pride. There is no need to assuage anything but our own paths. Let them take care of what they take care of. We got our own, and we should always be in representation of that, unapologetically. That's the Black excellence that I want to see expounded upon and celebrated at all times, whether it's within our fanship or our warriorship. That's the Black excellence that I want to see unflinching and united. I want to see that at the center of boxing. And it was wonderful to see so many brothers and sisters in the lead up to this fight be so passionate about Bud's win. Even the people that we call the, buddies and the sassy man fans and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was 10 toes, no matter what degree of the spectrum you fell on. People wanted to see Bud win, even if they were worried that he wouldn't. Deep down, all of us wanted to see if he could rise above all of the challenges that were set against him, all of the odds that were stacked against him. It was wonderful, right? A united force, a united people is what we should be at all times in boxing and everywhere. A united strength. As we say in IET, which is the first Black republic, that deemed itself a land for all free Black brothers and sisters who made it there, who would not resign themselves to slavery and oppression across the diaspora. It is said in IET, l'union fait la force. That means in unity, we have strength. Isn't that emblematic of our beautiful brothers and sisters? Yes, it is. That's what's gotten us through. That's what had our beautiful men pave the way in this beautiful sport. That's what had Bud Crawford standing as wonderfully and beautifully as he was radiating in that ring upon his victory. That's what we uphold the young King Devin Haney to go ahead and go accomplish. That's what we support the ventures of the young lion Brian Norman, who is looking to attain his own legacy. That's what we hope for Shakur Stevenson to rise to the occasion of. That's what we wished Tank Davis would get out of his feelings about and go attain. That's what we look forward to in the promising future and potential of people like Abdullah Mason, Andy Cruz, and all of the other brothers and sisters on their way up. That's what we looked and tote. The GWOAT Clarissa Shields, as she so beautifully exemplifies in all of her achievements, and as she still continues to seek out and achieve for herself throughout her career. This is the Black excellence. This is the legacy, the Black American legacy that we love and uphold, that has always, always paved the way, always set the tone and the standard for everything we know boxing to be itself. Beautiful exemplification of that. And Bud Crawford was yet another representation of that history and that legacy that we hold. Let me check in with my beautiful brothers and sisters. Can't wait to see you guys' thoughts about that as well. I'm scrolling up a bit. This is true. I mean, and we have to, that's to be acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? That's not to hate. You know, a lot of people feel like when you analyze things or you bring things into, into the realm of study and observation, that you are trying to detract from or that you are trying to debate. This is no debasement. This is just the reality. You know what I'm saying? And that isn't to say that, so the next person who feels that he should be on their top 5, doesn't have the right to put him on there. Like I said, it is subjective. You should be making these decisions and playing with the idea. That's a part of boxing as well. It's the fun part of boxing to say who is your best, But for me personally, my top 5 list, no, he is not. He's nowhere near my top 5 list. No, you know what I mean? But it was wonderful in being able to witness this particular part of his journey in boxing, which is absolutely going to solidify him, as this era's, shining prince, and he deserves that. He definitely deserves that. The intelligent one says, we are normally prisoners of current moments with the most. Oh, I wanted to make sure I read that right. Yes, prisoners. We are normally prisoners of our current moments with most all things. Sad to say, sis. I agree. 100% with you on that. Yeah. Yes, King. Yes, King. And I want the vivaciousness of, the Black fans. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us have been reticent about it, and it may be translated that, we are not here or in support or stepping 10 toes for our fighters because there is a underlying level of reticence. But that reticence only comes because, it's almost seen as as some sort of a doozy or as some sort of a eyesore, to see Black people standing 10 toes, and speaking unapologetically and boastfully and heavily and with fire and emblazoned and passionate about their fighters. A lot of people shun your energy, that even if the people are not saying it outrightly, but there's this energy that because you are Black and because you are supporting your Black fighter, that's something wrong. They will say, oh, well, you're just supporting him because he's Black. Meanwhile, you a goddamn, let's say, Mexican, and you're expected without question to show up with yours. And I'm sure, among their community, they would be seen as an oddity for not standing 10 toes for their own. You know what I'm saying? You should be. But what the fuck is the problem when I do it? Absolutely nothing. And so that, to the sect of Black fans who feel like it's a problem, need to get out of that mentality and start expressing that shit unapologetically. Because we take up space. We more than take up space. We are the space. You understand? So, yeah, that's my view on that. No, we don't need to be reticent or passive or, have a level of timidity about how we show up. No, this is what we're here for. Just like everyone else is there to do it for their own and rep in their image. You know what I mean? Oh, let me charge my thing. Let's see what else we got here. I'm just checking with the, let me see. What does that say? Bud would have what? Let me see. The Grim Reaper salute to you. He says, Bud would have many great fighters on his resume if they only would have fought him and didn't duck him. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Who ducked him? I mean, that's an interesting conversation. But to my understanding, I don't remember or recall anybody ducking him. You know what I'm saying? Who ducked Bud? Who ducked Bud? Sean Porter wanted to fight him. Eventually got the fight when Bud made up his mind that he would put the friendship aspect of it down and actually go fight Porter. Danny Garcia wanted to fight him, right? That didn't get so much materialized. Who ducked him of note? Who ducked him? You know what I'm saying? But I can at least say that he did fight. He did manage to get EJ, even though it was all types of complications and politicking and goddamn, crazy ass demands and stuff like that. He actually went and met EJ where he was at. EJ was the one that was so vehement and adamant about making that fight, and I'm glad that he actually, signed up to get the fight so that he fought his biggest rival, his career rival, which was EJ. I'm glad that he did that, right? Um, but yeah, I don't know anybody who was ducking Bud. Sports prediction, I see you. He says Bud did what has never been done. Three-time undisputed, and he knocked out everybody at 147. Floyd got so many ducks. We know about it ain't funny. Here for boxing, salute to you, King. I see you. He says Canelo, Spence, Porter, Brooke are all solid wins. Yes, they are all solid wins. Mm-hmm. They're solid wins. But we got to consider, Brooke was child. We'll all have our opinions about that. Especially the fact that Porter and Brooke were what they would call leftovers, damaged goods of Spence. But yes, they were valuable names. Nowhere near as valuable as Canelo and Spence. Yes, absolutely. Keith Thurman. That's the only name that I know ducked Bud Crawford. I mean, whoever that was, that you earlier that I read? Somebody made it seem like, you could run the gamut on names of people that ducked Bud Crawford. I only know of Keith Thurman. I know no one else who ducked him. Yeah, there's only one person that comes to mind. So we can't act like he was the most avoided man, in the division, because that was not the reality. Danny Garcia did not duck Bud Crawford. He did not duck Bud Crawford. Let's see what else the good people are talking about. The King Patrice says, Bud is top 5 greatest skill set of all time, just not top 5 resume. Facts. If Top Rank wouldn't have hid Pacquiao from Bud, that would have been the more big name needed to stamp the resume. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting conversation just about that whole Pacquiao saga that was going on, especially when you consider the fact that Pacquiao had signed a deal to fight Bud. Pacquiao had signed the deal, right? It was Bud, the Bud side, that did not sign it. Pacquiao had signed to fight him, and for whatever reason, he did not sign his portion of the deal. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through my people. Give me a good second. I wanted to see what y'all was cooking on in the comments. I know I was going for a little while, so I missed some of what you were saying. But salute to the good brothers and sisters for joining. I definitely appreciate you guys. Just give me a moment here. Yes, here for boxing. He beat the face of boxing soundly with the entire world watching. Terrence Crawford is now the face of boxing. Yes, I definitely agree with that. He definitely usurped that title straight from Canelo. That's what happens. When you beat the face of boxing, what happens? You become the face of boxing. And so, it is what it is. Oh my goodness. Salute to the King Nata in the building. He says, salute SugarFreeMars and salute to the mighty LDBC. Big love to you, King Nata, always with the support and the wonderful energy. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for always supporting the channel, King. I went a ways up. Oh my goodness, is that Joe Breezy in the building? Salute to the King, Joe Breezy in the building. I think this is my first time seeing you, King. Salute to you. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you coming through. Oh my goodness, hold up. Let me actually go back up here because I think I missed some super chats. I did. Salute to Mont Brink. He says, you talking real spill. Salute to you and thank you so much for the support of the channel. I appreciate you. Salute to the king, my brother, my good brother, Pizzo in the building. He says, salute, queen. Thank you, King Pizzo. It's always lovely to see you, brother. Thank you so much for stopping by and always for your love and support of the channel. I appreciate you. Oh my goodness, my mama love Chiquila Fields is in the building. Hey, my mama love. She says, a little color for the warrior queen's war room. Cook, my child of love. Yes, mom. You already know what time it is, my love. Thank you so much. Wonderful to see you as always. Thank you so much for showing that wonderful love and support that you always bring to the channel. I appreciate you so very much. Salute to Curtis Robinson in the building. He says, support queen, love your input. Thank you so much, Curtis. I appreciate you very much. Salute to the king, Professor X with the love in the super chat. Thank you so much, King. And he doubled down with some support. He says, love your cooking as always. Thank you very, very much, Curtis. I appreciate you stopping by and of course, blessing the channel as well. Salute to the good people. I just wanted to scroll a little bit ways up to see what the good family was cooking on. I know y'all be cooking. Yes, Coach Hudson, you already know. You already know. We got to stand 10 toes for hours. You know what I'm saying? It's a conversation that is definitely worth having. It's a continual, conversation that we ought to be having with ourselves and engaging with as Black boxing fans, considering the fact that, there are so many avenues and aspects historically within the sport aimed at, quelling our impact and diminishing our presence. We can't have that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it was definitely a win for the culture for Bud Crawford to come out victorious, and not only come out victorious, but to look good and box great. And even in the moments where he was getting a little bit too greedy and had me kind of on my toes, biting my nails a little bit, what I'm saying? Bud Crawford stood in there. He stood in a pocket. He took Canelo's best punches, you guys. And Canelo is somebody who we were so worried about. Can he take his punches? Is he going to be able to adapt to the weight? This man, like I said, out of the ring for over a year, went in there and exemplified warriorship, elite Black warriorship. Did you see that man in there boxing? Did you see how he was turning Canelo Alvarez? I mean, the boxing was beautiful. Boxing was beautiful. He turned Canelo Alvarez. He was turning so fast, Canelo didn't even realize he had turned while he was swinging some of those punches. Beautiful people. He looked absolutely wonderful. It was definitely moments of, competition, very competitive, wonderful right hands coming from Canelo. I was actually very worried about, if he would be able to sustain the damage that Canelo would be throwing to, let's say, his arms, because we know Canelo likes to tear people's arms up, tear people's shoulders up. Of course, that body work was on deck, from basically the first bell. Canelo was attacking the body. I was a little bit, worrisome about Bud Crawford's response to that. Not only that, in the first half of the fight, I didn't really see where Bud was responding with his own body shots. But thankfully, by like round 4, round 5, he started having his own answers to the body of Canelo, which was wonderful. And his combinations, oh my goodness, he looked wonderful. He looked wonderful. I'm glad that he did not go in there and lay down, ladies and gentlemen, because that certainly was at the top of my list of worries going into this fight. I did not want to see a Jamel Charlo 2.0, brothers and sisters. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Thankfully, he went up in there, really, really with something to prove. You know what I'm saying? He had something more on his mind than tweeting some tweet or posting a selfie or, just sitting up there, boasting, nonsensically. He actually went in there to fight. He went in there to take somebody's head. That's what he went in there to do. And that's exactly what got done. And it was evident in the way that he was fighting. He did not show all of this unnecessary respect to Canelo, the way we saw with Charlo, the way we saw with Plant, the way people have tended to do when they get in the ring face to face with Canelo. He went in there and he earned every bit of his respect from Canelo. You understand? Canelo was walking he looked like he was buzzed or dazed in that 12th round. Y'all saw that 12th round where Canelo just stopped hitting at a certain portion of that round. You know what I mean? I don't know if he was dazed a little bit or whatever the hell was happening, but he definitely fucked around and found out. That's what the outcome of that of that fight was. He fucked around and found all the way out, and it was wonderful to witness. Definitely wonderful witness him accomplish such a phenomenal task and feat. Absolutely. I was so satisfied watching that. Very happy for him indeed. Whatever he does next, you guys, I'm on, the king side. You know what I'm saying? If he said he want the rematch, that's what makes the most sense to me, lucratively and just as far as legacy talk. Um, whatever he wants to do, I'll be peering in, to provide some support because, he's one of our own. And like I said, he is coming off of that last breed of that Mayweather era. Um, both of them, Canelo and Crawford, are of that old school. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what he does next, wherever he goes. I'll be providing some support to that vision that he has. It's going to be interesting to see what unfolds moving onward. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. I think I got some more super chats. Hold on, you guys. Oh my goodness, we got the King A1 Henry in the building. Big salute to you, Queen. He says, I'm sorry, he says, Sugar-Free Mars, my queen. History has been made. Thank you so much, King. I appreciate you. Salute. Infinite blessings to the King. A1 Henry, thank you so much for the super chat. History has been made indeed. Okay. Oh my goodness, here he is, my twin, the lovely twin Daryl Anderson. He says, definitely got to leave some color in the chat as always. Great cooking as always, twin. Always insightful. Thank you so much, twin. I appreciate you. Big. You already know what time it is with the Love King. Thank you so much. And peace to all the brothers and sisters, that decided to join the chat. I appreciate your presence and your input. It's always wonderful chopping it up with you. I'm still going through some of what you guys were talking about. Oh, my twin, speaking of my twin, he says, I got worried when Canelo walked through Bud's punches, but I felt better when Bud took Canelo's power as well. Yeah, me too, twin. I was like, the fuck? I was like, uh-oh, what's going on? Especially when I see Canelo just keep hammering those right hands. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. But what was crazy was that Bud was catching a lot of those big ass shots. Like he was catching them shits like on the wrist, on the glove. Like Bud was on it, son. He was on it. He was definitely on it. It was wonderful watching that chess match. That's what that fight looked like to me. You know what I'm saying? Salute to both of those men. Salute to both of those men. That was a good performance. It was a very, very highly competitive, high-strung performance. Both men had something that they wanted to show the other. Okay, and it was wonderful to watch two elite athletes in the ring. Having to supersede each other and figure it out, having to deal with that dominance, having to deal with that power in real time. It's just warriorship 101. I loved it. Wonderful fight. Wonderful fight. My comrade says, lift every voice and sing. We're not even dealing with trolls on this Sunday. Shout out to Bud Crawford. Absolutely. It's about nobody else but us, King, as it always is. You feel me? As it always is. My twin says, I think GGG had a point. He said Canelo doesn't hit too hard. He's just very accurate. Yeah, that's interesting. Did you hear Bud say that goddamn Mean Machine, aka Green Beans, hits harder than Canelo? I was like, well, interesting stuff. He was able to take that man's punches. I was definitely glad to see that. Okay, that he did not wither as the rounds progressed, but actually seemed to have gotten even more steam as the fight went on. Real talk, but to me, looked like he could have fought another goddamn 6 rounds. You know what I'm saying? Canelo was the one that looked kind of, out of it by that 12th round, but looked like he could have easily went another 6 rounds. Interesting stuff. But that's elite excellence at its finest. So makes sense. You know what I mean? Definitely makes sense. Elated? You're elated? Jim Broadway, salute to you. I'm elated too. I was absolutely elated, especially when I saw, when they, before they entered the ring and they were announcing the winner, and they raised Bud's hand and he kind of like went to his knees and, it was wonderful to see. It was wonderful to see, you know. Um, I personally may not agree with or have agreed with all of Bud's, perspectives, and I still don't. Um, a lot of things that the ways that he chooses to go about things, particularly as it pertains to aspects of culture, how he handles that. But you know, it's a wonderful achievement to see where he has gotten himself to, considering all of his history, considering just him being a fighter. These fighters, no matter whether they are highly successful or not, they get in there and they train. A lot of them who actually make it to the elite level, are fighting all sorts of levels of competition, some of them above their own. And these men got to get in there and they got to work for that. What I'm saying? Canelo, whether we agree with the latter half of his career or not, whether we are upset about his prior drug use, PEDs, having been caught those years ago with the PEDs, and the systems that coddle him and stuff like that. Canelo is also a warrior. Canelo has also had to go in the ring and get it. Um, and so these men, are really in there, I'm saying, really getting it out the mud. And they bring themselves to this level of stature. And, people like Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez are creating the means to attain this level of legacy, that's part or on par with, the greats who have paved the way in the sport. It's wonderful to witness. You know what I'm saying? And no matter the culture at hand, like I said, if you are a fan of boxing, you can sit back and really accredit these men for their warriorship because, I love the sport. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I have the people that I resonate deeply with, but I could never turn my back on a display of heart and warriorship, no matter where it's coming from. But, in saying that, I think it's extra, extra necessary that we put all the heat that we can on our own men because it's our culture that is often marginalized just societally. And like I said, it isn't exempt from boxing. And I think because we have so much input in our contribution in the formation and foundation of the sport, it is all the more necessary for us to show up for these beautiful brothers and sisters who continue on that legacy of Black American greatness. You know what I mean? Um, and we can do that unapologetically. It does not mean that we have to disavow the next person. It just means that we have to respect who we are and how we do things to the utmost capacity and degree. That is important. You know what I mean? That's the soul that I step with as far as we are concerned. You know what I mean? Yeah. Blaze, pound for pound TV, salute to you. He says, Bud could fight anybody, even have the fight back in Nebraska for his hometown. Oh, that would be beautiful. Imagine that, Blaze. That would be wonderful. Imagine Bud going back to Nebraska to fight, Omaha fight. He always represent, his city, his town, his state. So that would be wonderful to see. Do they have a stadium out there? Do they have a stadium? That would be great for him to fight at home, you know. Interesting stuff. I'd like to see it for him if that's something he wanted for sure. The intelligent one says, I love it. It's a moment I'm personally looking forward to in my time, if the Most High is willing to let us see in the future on classic sports. Yeah, imagine what the future is going to look like. That's why it's important that we uphold the young warriors that are upcoming. That's why I don't take too kindly to all the disavowing that I see being had and thrown at Devin Haney. Devin Haney is literally the future of the sport. He's already accomplished so much. He's barely, 30 years old. You know what I'm saying? Not even 30 years old yet. He has the world literally in his palm. He stands to carry the legacy of this elite Black American greatness. That is the title of today's discussion. Yet, I think it's because of that, as I have said on many occasions, I think it's because of that precisely that he is berated and castigated to the degree that he is, because people fear that he is going to continue on that legacy. And there is an absolute propagandized, premeditated attack on the continuance of Black legacy. You know what I'm saying? Which is part of the larger issue that I wanted to divulge here with you today. So that we need to be even that more adamant about the upholding of the brothers like Devin Haney, of the up and coming lions like Brian Norman, Boots Ennis. You know what I'm saying? We need to be steadfast about these people coming up, yes, Shakur Stevensons and stuff like that. But we also need to be holding their asses to the stake and holding them accountable, because it is only in doing that, not babying them, that is going to make them great. You know what I mean? Ali was not babied. He had to go in there and take it. He had to go in there and deal with it. He had to talk his shit. He had to call himself the greatest before any of us ever could wrap our mouths around calling him such. He had to call himself that first. That's the mentality of Black elite excellence. You know what I mean? So the spirit of that needs to be embedded in these, younger generations on their way up. That's the soul that we need to uphold. We do not need to coddle the nonsensical behavior that we see. People running away from competition, people refusing to get on that stage and prove themselves and make something of themselves and represent themselves and their people well. That's not something we need to be, backing and supporting and making excuses for. I can't stand that shit. It disgusts me. It's absolutely abhorrent to me. And when I see that people, these fans and these, media platforms and stuff like that, making excuses, being bipartisan, it's just disgusting to me. That's only going to kill the valor of that Black American greatness. These men need to be made. They don't need to be babied. That's my stance on it. Blaze TV came back. He says, Bud won't participate in modern day minstrels with Jake Paul. I hope not. But real talk, when we think about financially, I mean, outside of Canelo, that would be the biggest fight that he could make. I doubt that he would make it. But as far as him going on the up and up, as far as his financial gain and opportunity, that would be the only thing that would supersede Canelo financially. You know what I mean? But I can't say that I would imagine that he would go ahead and do something like that. The Savage one came back. He says, I love those 2 or 3 moments late in the fight when Canelo was so frustrated, he literally gave up in the middle of an exchange late in the fight because he couldn't get Bud. Yeah, he was frustrated. And I think at the post presser, Bud had mentioned that. Bud was like, yeah, he was frustrated. You know what I'm saying? Because, he realized that what he was doing, for particular moments in the fight wasn't working. And so he had, he saw where he was flustered and frustrated. Yeah, absolutely. He just stopped fucking throwing punches. Savage, I was like, damn, what the heck? What happened? I gave up. It was interesting to see. Interesting to see. Jim Broadway back, he says, Bud really frustrated Canelo. I'm so proud of Mr. Bud Crawford. He trained so hard for this fight. Yes, it was evident that all the training that he did, all of the, aside from the physical training, all of the mental training, all of the spiritual training that he had done, taking in from his lessons, all of that. He absolutely was 1000% adamant about putting all of that to work into accurate use against Canelo. And he did a phenomenal job. Salute to Bomac as well. We got to give Bomac, his credit. He got this man 3 times undisputed. He's absolutely needs to be heralded as best trainer. You know what I'm saying? Trainer of the year. And also shout out to Bill Haney, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Bill Haney. Okay, because it was Bill Haney who I hear inspired Bud Crawford to go ahead and go take the bite of that apple, to go ahead and go conquer the unthinkable. Bill Haney is who incited the inspiration in Bud Crawford to go ahead and go achieve that. Shout out to Bill Haney for believing in the great brother, Bud Crawford, and saying, yo, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Even when Bud wasn't really paying attention to the aspect of, what he would be able to do or whatever have you. He wasn't on that type of mindset. Bill Haney had incited that spirit in him and essentially inculcated the will into him, which ultimately made him change his mind to go ahead and go, take on the task at hand. Shout out to Bill Haney for his belief in Bud Crawford and saying, nah, bro, you can do it. You can do it. That's the type of, see what I'm talking about when I talk about Black American excellence? You know what I mean? The support of one another is where the strength is. That's why I quoted the saying on the Haitian flag, "Le union fait la force." That is the tagline of the people of Haiti, which means there is strength in our unity. So that was exemplified with the King Bill Haney talking to the King Bud Crawford, saying, "Yo, you a king. You can do it. You can dismantle that man. You should take it." That's the Black warriorship and the Black unity I love to see. We need more of that. Yes, that's where it's at. Salute to the King Bill. Salute to the King Bill. Salute to Team Bud. You know, Bo Mac, all of his team. The other dude, I always forget his name. All of Bud's team. You know, wonderful stuff. Beautiful to see him in there with his babies in the ring. Just wonderful stuff, you guys. Absolutely beautiful. It was beautiful. Watching his victory was beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I love that. I love Black brothers supporting Black brothers. I love Black people supporting Black people. That's where it's at. The unity is in our strength. It will always be there. It has always been there. All right? That's the real seventh or eighth wonder of the world, Black unity. Okay? That's right. That's what I love to see. Excellent exemplification of Black American greatness, Black American excellence. Very happy for the King Bud. Also salute to King, Team Canelo, who showed up to fight. You know what I'm saying? He came up short, but he came in there and tried to do what he tried to do. You know, this is boxing. This is how things go. But all in all, we got a wonderful show because both of those men went in there and did what they had to do. So salute to boxing. Boxing definitely won last night. And hopefully it will continue to win with that level of heart and courage and warriorship, not being afraid, to defy odds, not being afraid to take risks, even risks that people say aren't possible to overcome. That's what Bud did. He proved. He also proved that there is no excuse for, these people not going up there to take fights with Devin, not going up in there to take fights with whoever, Shakur or whatever. These people can go and make these fights happen. No more excuses. No more excuses. Withholding the best, fighting the best. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's it for me, unless you guys needed anything for me to divulge on that I haven't already. I think that's everything that I wanted to get out about last night's event and just the entire perspective I wanted to shed light on concerning Black excellence and Black American prowess in the sport of boxing. I think we are in good hands so long as we walk in the spirit of that greatness and knowing that greatness and claiming that Black American greatness. It has to be claimed. We can't act like it's not there. Everybody else has a right to claim and solidify and name who they are. Meanwhile, we are tiptoeing around the claiming of our space. That's not the time I operate on. It's in the claiming of your identity, the claiming of your culture, the claiming of your people, the claiming of your roots, where your power is. You understand? So that's what I salute. That's what I want to see more of. Infinite love to my beautiful brothers and sisters up in here that come chill with me. Oops, excuse me. I got some noise outside. I don't know what the hell that is. Hopefully you guys didn't hear it. But salute to the beautiful brothers and sisters who rock with me each week. I appreciate my gunners, my beautiful family, my sisters, my brothers, my lovely twin Darrell Anderson, my beautiful sister Cameron Fields, my mama love Chiquila Fields, the King Stephen X, the Intelligent Savage, the King Freedom's March, all the people that I could name, the King Pizzo and his constant support. Salute once again to the people on the super chat, Professor X, Curtis Robinson, A1 Henry Ten Toes, the twin Darrell Anderson, Patrice. Oh my God, did I see you, Patrice? Did you guys just send this? Hold on. I got some more super chats. Jafari Caesar, salute to you in the super chat. He says, Canelo doesn't get hit clean. And he rolls the punches against other boxers, but Bud hit him clean and hurt him multiple times. Yes, he did. Yeah, he caught Canelo a couple of times indeed. Right? Crazy, crazy weird. Those combinations were absolutely beautiful, King Jafari. I was like, oh my God, he was letting them things go. Oh, I love seeing it. Absolutely love seeing it. He did a great job. Also, the King Patrice in the super chat. Salute to my brother Patrice with the support in the super chat. He says, Don't stress too much about Tank earlier. He has stage 4 rigor mortis and it's terminal. We gotta, we have to leave him behind, child. Listen, oh my God. Listen, I resolved to not, put my mind on Tank Davis, right? But whenever he comes up, child, I just have to put some pressure on there as a maybe a wake-up call to some people outside of our brotherhood and our sisterhood here in this community, but to the extended community that are always seeking to coddle that man. That is it's a disease rampant in boxing among a particular sect of people who think it's cute, to uphold that level of behavior. But as far as I go, child, nah, I put him down, some time ago for that reason, so that I won't get caught up in the jigger mortis that is in stage 4 right now. Exactly, Patrice. Salute to you, and thank you so much again for blessing the channel and the super chat. You know what I mean? Definitely appreciate the support, beautiful people. Salute to everybody in the building. That's it for me, y'all. Smash the like button on y'all way out. I thank you so much for the support. I may be checking in with you in some content that I may be dropping. If not, keep in touch with me in my community page. As always, that's where I love to talk to you, shed some thoughts, and say hellos and stuff like that. Thank you so much for your love and your energy, beautiful people. You are Black. You are beautiful. You are greatness. I will speak to you guys soon. Infinite blessings. Peace.